Happy to be here. I know it's been a little bit to get to get us online here, getting a show in, but it's a Sunday afternoon. We're doing some Sunday football talk. It's a different show for us. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me also. I'm really happy to be here, excited. It's kind of cool having like a Sunday kind of pregame show in a way for these afternoon games, so I'm looking forward to talking about that.
And thank you for the update, Billy. My mic output was in the wrong slot, so I'll just repeat what I said real quick again. I'm sorry for the inconsistent schedule for anyone watching out there. It's been kind of crazy with finals. Me and Faz haven't been able to link up our schedules too well. But once finals are done over break, we should be in a more consistent schedule. There's going to be a brief show here today for Sunday afternoon. We're going to talk about the 4 o'clock games and maybe the end of these 1 o'clock games as we are watching them on our phones and monitors and stuff. So you'll see us looking off and stuff. I know Faz is looking at that Jets game very carefully. The Jets are finally, putting up more than 14 points, so he's allowed to be a little excited today. But let's go right into the 4 o'clock games. What do we got first, Faz?
All right, so first game we got two 4:05 games and two 4:25 games. So starting off, the Giants are going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I know I was just saying right before the show started that Seattle's right now one of my top 2 Super Bowl picks. So Sean, I'll toss it to you because you're the Giants fan. I'm picking an easy win for Seattle. I'm sorry, but I'm curious what you think about this game.
Don't be sorry, because in all reality, I'm gonna go with Seattle too. The thing being is, if Daniel Jones was playing, I might actually consider taking the Giants because they've been actually playing pretty well last couple weeks. But I don't think Colt McCoy gives us enough to beat Seattle here, so I'm gonna go with Seattle too.
And I'm gonna have to agree with you, Sean. I'm definitely siding with Seattle in this game. Their offense is they're playing really well right now. DK, Tyler Lockett, and Russell Wilson. He got a little slump, but I feel like this is a game where he's gonna get back to that level he started with in the beginning of the season. I just think it's just too much for his Giants team. I just don't feel like they're good enough to really compete and potentially win this game.
As you said, you're taking Seahawks too, right?
I gotta take Seattle. I mean, I'm rooting for. I will say this: I'm rooting for the Giants because that division is just so interesting to me, and I kind of really want the Giants to pull out and win it. But I mean, Seattle's my Super Bowl team. The Giants, missing some pieces this week, so I think it's gonna be an easy win for Seattle.
All right, what's the next game, Faz?
Next game, we got the Rams and the Cardinals, which I'm excited for this one because
that's an interesting game.
We get to see DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey go at it. If you remember a couple of years ago, back when Ramsey was on Jacksonville and Hopkins was on Houston, they've had some beef. So I think that's going to be an exciting matchup to see, especially with Hopkins not having been playing too well. But this is a game that I think has some real, implications in the division. They're both in that same division. The Rams are 7-4. The Cardinals are 6-5. So a win for the Cardinals could tie those two teams up for second place in the division. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I'm going to go with the Cardinals at home, though. I think they could piece it together. The Rams aren't what they used to be. And, the Cardinals have been a little bit lackluster for the past couple of weeks, and I think they turn it around in a division game at home.
Luca, what do you think?
I agree. I think the Cardinals are going to come out on top here. I feel like this is a must-win game for them in a way because I feel like if they lose this game, they have almost no shot, getting that division leading and getting that high seed in that home game in the playoffs, which can be very important, especially for Kyler Murray, a very young quarterback. I think this is definitely game of the day. It's going to be a very, very close one. It's going to come down to the wire. I feel like the Cardinals are just going to edge it out. I feel like their offense is just a little bit more talented than the Rams defense. I feel like Hopkins is going to have a huge day today.
I'm actually going to differ from you two, and I'm going to go with the Rams beating Arizona at Arizona today, and I think it's going to be on the last drive of the game. The Rams win this.
I think it's going to go down to that.
I think it's going to come down to McVay out-coaching Kingsbury. That's what I think it's going to come down to. I think the Rams get a surprising win here in Arizona.
I have a question because I'm curious. Do you guys think that we see a little beef thrown between Hopkins and
with
Ramsey?
Those two guys? Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if they get ejected, both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing. If they get ejected, that hurts Arizona more than it hurts the Rams.
For sure. And I definitely think both of them kind of have a loud mouth. They like the trash talk, and they're both very talented, a lot of pride in their game. So I think, it's definitely be an interesting matchup to look up to. I look forward to.
It's gonna be a good game. Sean, you want me to head over to the next game we have?
Yep.
So our next game we have is a 4:25 game. The Eagles and the Packers. I make that face because the Eagles
At
just
Green
I don't
Bay
know what
too,
it is.
right?
It's at Green Bay. The Eagles gross me out. Another game that could have potential serious implications on that division. You know, I feel like every team in the NFC East is up for grabs right now. So if the Eagles could pull out this game, that could be huge for them in the division. But I got to go Green Bay. I don't like the Eagles this season. I think they're lucky that they even have 3 wins. It's just not a good team. I can't stand watching them. Every time I watch them, it's like watching the Jets. I'm sorry. I have to bring up my team, but every time I watch the Eagles, it's like watching the Jets. It's just pure dysfunction. And I think the Packers are just steamrolling through this season. I'm going to go so far as to say I think they only lose one more game on the rest of the season. I know Seattle's my Super Bowl team, but if there's another team in the NFC, for me, it's the Packers right behind them. I think they steamroll through the Eagles easily.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. I think the Packers just going to run away with this game. The Eagles just definitely don't look good right now, especially like this past. I think they're on like what 3-game losing streak. Packers, that's a hard team to really beat. I mean, if they somehow pull it out, it's going to be a great momentum, uplifter for them within the division race. But one thing I'm kind of interested in this game is, does Peterson make the switch, put Jalen Hurts in, or give him a larger role in the game, especially if, turns into a blowout, give him more reps, or, if that controversy is going to change at all. But I just think Packers going to win. It's Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay in December. That's like prime Rodgers. I don't think it's going to be close at all.
I think, like you said, I think it's an obvious pick to go Green Bay here, but I think the more interesting storyline to follow is that Wentz and Jalen Hurts storyline, and the fact that as of today, reports came out that Doug Peterson is on the hot seat, which is a bit surprising to me. I think he's a very good coach still, but for someone like Faz, who might be looking for a coach next year, I'm excited about this, and if I'm you, I'm rooting for the Packers to blow them out and for Wentz to stay in the entire game, because it's only going to help the case for Doug becoming a free agent coach next year.
I'll put it that way. I do think that Doug Peterson, regardless of what happens this season, is probably going to be let go. I just think the team needs to move in a different direction. As a football fan, I want to see Jalen Hurts get in the game so badly. I really think he's a talented kid. I think he'd be a great quarterback in the league. And I don't have any faith in Carson Wentz. I do really think Hurts is the future of that team. I don't think Wentz stays in Philadelphia much longer. Well, that's a topic for a different day. But, I would love Doug Peterson would be a coach I would absolutely love to have. So from that aspect, I'm rooting for Wentz to stay in the whole game. But honestly, if there's a game where we do see Jalen Hurts, I feel like it might happen this week if the Eagles are just getting blown out. Every week, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to seeing him taking over. And, I think a potential big blowout game against the Packers could be a signal for Hurts coming in.
So we all take Packers. What do we got next?
All right, so our next game is another 4:25 game. The Patriots going into San Diego, going into take on the Chargers. I almost said it. I almost said San Diego. I missed them in San Diego, but Patriots, Chargers at home, 4:25. I'm going to go in New England here. I love Justin Herbert. I was a huge fan of him coming into the draft. I actually really like the Chargers team this season, even though their record doesn't really show for the talent that they have on their team. But I'm going to have to go with the Patriots in this game. I think as long as you have Bill Belichick as your coach, they're not giving up. They're sitting at 5-6 right now. So in theory, with Miami and Buffalo ahead of you in the division, any other team would probably just kind of maybe tank out the rest of the season for a better draft pick, but that's not the way New England rolls. Belichick's going to keep fighting till the end. I think Cam Newton's going to have a really solid game today. I'm going with the Patriots on the road.
And I'm going to have to agree. I also think the Patriots going to win this game. I think it's going to be a very close game. I love the Chargers this year. And like you said, their record definitely doesn't tell the tale of how good they actually are. They got great skill position players, and Herbert's playing a great season, potentially rookie of the year, the stats he's putting up. But I do believe, I feel like the Patriots at this point, their division's gone. I feel like they're trying to get that crucial 7 seed because the playoff, format increased this year, which could help them out in a way. And I know last week when they played the Cardinals, that was a big morale kind of win. Everyone was kind of counting the Patriots out that game. They didn't really believe them to beat the Cardinals, but they did it. So I think this game that's going to carry over that momentum, and I think they're going to come out victorious.
So I'm gonna have to differ with you guys again, and I'm gonna go with the Chargers here. I think Justin Herbert and the Chargers put up 30 plus against this Patriots defense. A bit of a surprise.
Wow.
I think Eckler explodes or finally gets his full reps back in today. I shouldn't say explodes, but I think the Chargers do beat the Patriots here. The Patriots have just been very inconsistent for me, and they barely squeaked by last week with the Cardinals. In all reality, they got lucky, I think, more than anything. And Cam Newton just seems like he's getting worse and worse as the season goes. And if he can't get it done today, there might be a quarterback change there again today this week. So I'm picking Chargers there.
That'll be interesting to see a quarterback change in New England. Next game tonight, we're going into tonight's games now, 8:20. I think this is going to be an easy one to pick. Broncos going into Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. My choice is the Chiefs easily. What else can you say? Kansas City's been on a roll. Tyreek Hill had one of the best overall performances in recent memory last week.
Me.
Well, we all got screwed because of that in fantasy last week. I was going up against Tyreek Hill too, so I felt that. But he's coming off one of the best performances. That this team is unstoppable. I mean, you have Travis Kelce, who's by far the best tight end in the league. Patrick Mahomes has been on another level this season. Tyreek Hill coming off one of the best wide receiver games in at least the last 10, 15 years. I think this is an easy win for the Chiefs. I don't know if we see another 50-something point fantasy performance from Tyreek Hill, but I think there's going to be some big numbers from the Chiefs offense this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I feel like the Broncos, they're a division-like opponent, and sometimes you see it during the season that these division opponents, they play each other really well, even if their records are very, very different. I know the Broncos, what they have going for them this week, they don't have the whole quarterback controversy where they have a practice squad wide receiver playing quarterback. I mean, last week they got blown out by the Saints, but that defense played really well. I mean, a lot of times the Saints had the ball within their territory, and they forced so many field goals. Obviously, I don't think the Broncos are going to win today. I think that offense is very good, but it does, I feel like, help them a lot that they're going to have Drew Lock today playing quarterback, and I think they can keep it within like a 2-possession game. I'm going to take the Chiefs, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Chiefs here, too. I think that's an easy pick. I'm going to disagree and say I think they do it with ease. Maybe not a 30 or 40-point game, but I feel like this game's just going to be managed very well by Andy Reid and Mahomes. To the point where it might be like a 2-possession, 1-possession game at times, but you're never going to feel like the Chiefs aren't in control of the game. Just because Denver is just doing Denver things this year with, not having a consistent quarterback. As much as I like Drew Lock, I just feel like they haven't been able to get everyone on the field for like a consistent amount of times this season. It's either Lock's out, Fant's out, Judy's out. I just feel like they have not had enough time to put that chemistry together. Where in Denver, I think they have a decent roster. I really do, but it's just they really catch an injury bug this year and just unlucky. But it's Kansas City. I'm taking Kansas City here. I can't even differ from you two on this one. Is there 2 night games this week, or is that it?
So tonight there is only 1 night game. Tomorrow is the doubleheader. So going into tomorrow's games, first game 5:00, Washington football team going in to take on the 11-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is where my hot take of the week comes in. I think Washington upsets the Steelers. They barely squeaked by the Ravens last week in a game that Baltimore really should have won. Listen, the Steelers have the best defense in the league. I think that they are a really talented team, but this is an incredibly overrated 11-0 team because they've had an easy schedule. I'm not saying Washington's a great team, but I'm just feeling upset on the wall. The writing's on the wall for an upset this week. Pittsburgh, the past couple of weeks, they've played some better teams and barely squeaked by with wins. They have a couple injuries on the team. Whether it's COVID related, whether it's injury related, there's a couple guys out for Pittsburgh this week. I think Washington goes into Pittsburgh and upsets the 11-0 Steelers this week. I don't really have a reason why per se, aside from the fact that each week Pittsburgh has looked slightly, gradually worse and worse. And I just feel like it's going to come to a head here against a Washington team that's been surprising this season. They're 4-7, but we've seen them play incredibly well in a couple of games down the stretch this season. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Washington's going to pull it out.
I'm going to have to disagree with that. I think the Steelers are going to win, but I believe it's going to be really close, and I believe it's going to be one of those games that are really low scoring and it's just really, really dominated by defense. I mean, You look at Washington, that defense, Chase Young, the whole front 8 or front 7, they're playing really, really well right now. And you saw a little bit of inconsistency of the Steelers offense, especially against the Ravens. So I
I'm
think that's
assuming the
going to
Jets
be.
just scored.
Did they score?
All I'm gonna say is we have the lead.
Oh God.
The Jets are winning? Yo, that's sick.
28-24.
Damn. How much time left?
I'm sorry. We had a nice little touchdown. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to carry on.
No, it's all good. But no, I just
we're
think
0-11. Any little thing makes me happy.
but yeah, I just think the game is going to be very close, defensively dominated. I think Steelers just going to pull out on top just because they got Ben Roethlisberger, and he's just going to – it might be one last drive. They might kick a field goal and win it. I love Alex Smith, and I love his story coming back, but I just don't know offensively he's going to be good enough to score enough points, you know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a really close game, but I see Pittsburgh on top, going 12-0.
It's funny you say that because that's exactly what I was gonna say. I think that this is a very close game, and Pittsburgh goes down with like 20 seconds left, something ridiculous, and like throw a deep pass, they get a flag, like a BS flag, and then they kick a field goal and win. I think they barely slip by Washington, but I do like Washington as a win here. If you're looking for an upset pick in the later window or for Monday night, I think Washington's your team for the biggest upset. I think Pittsburgh squeaks by on a BS penalty and a field goal. I can see it now in my head. They just keep doing that.
I think either way, this is going to be a closer game than some people might think when you see 11-0 versus 4-7. Tomorrow night is the doubleheader game. So going into the next game, 8:15, the Buffalo Bills going into San Fran to take on the Niners. The Niners, to me, are a team that remind me of the Broncos. You know, talented roster. Obviously, just came off not a Super Bowl win, but a Super Bowl appearance. They're a good team, but they've been bit by the injury bug all season, and they haven't really been able to get it together. I think Buffalo goes in and takes this one. Buffalo has exceeded my expectations this season, but I mean, what else can you say about the Bills? I think they're a really talented team, and I think they go into San Fran and easily beat a team that just hasn't really found their identity this year.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I think the Bills are going to win, but I don't believe it's going to be a large margin. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk because you've seen through the year Nick Mullins. I mean, he's not the greatest of quarterbacks, but every once in a while, I think it was the Rams game they played last week. They kept it really close. They won, right? 49ers beat the Rams last week. But Nick Mullins, he could play a horrible game. That Bills defense is very good, but I think he can play a good enough game just to keep it close. But I believe the Bills are going to pull out on top. I think Josh Allen's just playing the best football of his career right now. And I think he's very like underdog kind of MVP kind of candidate right now. I mean, not a lot of people are thinking it, give him the respect I think he deserves. But the offense is definitely looking better. I mean, Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Brown, they're playing amazingly right now. So I think the Bills are going to come up on top. But it's going to be a close game.
I think just like a lot of the games you said, like this is going to be a close game because whenever the 49ers play and whoever they're playing, they always have a good shot of winning just because of how well they're coached. Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the league, and I will die on that. And he can outcoach any team. So, do I see San Fran possibly winning this game? Yeah, I do. But I'm not going to pick them here. I think it's going to be a close one because I don't – if Jimmy Garoppolo or C.J. Beathard were in, I would say yes. I think C.J. Beathard's a better quarterback than Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins just hasn't really shown me anything, and I'm surprised they've stuck with him. But since he has Shanahan in his corner as a coach – there's always a shot the 49ers can win because they are so creative on how they run, specifically running with their receivers, running with 3 of their running backs who were healthy, zone run, power run. They really mix it up well because they're such a well-coached team that I feel like they're always in the potential of having, a big win like they did last week. So I'm going to go with I'm not picking the Niners, though. So.
We have our last game. This is a weird week. Tuesday night football this week. Cowboys and the Ravens. I think Baltimore bounces back this week. I mean, the Cowboys have been such an inconsistent team all season. They've had their own share of injuries, mainly on the offensive line. Obviously, Dak Prescott earlier in the season. But I don't know. I can never have faith in the Cowboys. And that division, I know I talked about before, it's such an interesting division. But I think Baltimore is going to bounce back this week. Listen, they're a talented team, and they haven't really been able to find themselves yet this season. But I think they bounce back in a game against a Cowboys team that has been riddled by the injury bug and not themselves this season. I'm going with Baltimore, and I think it's going to kind of be an easy win, regardless of who's in our quarterback for the Ravens.
Yeah, so this is going to...
Lamar's going to play.
Lamar is going to play?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm even more so. I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah, this is gonna hurt me to say. I love my Cowboys, but I can't see them
Sorry.
winning. I can't see them winning this game with the offensive line injuries, like you said. That Ravens defense is just way too good, and not to mention the Cowboys defense. I mean, that's a laughing stock. And if you look in this game, if they're going to have a quarterback spy of some sort on Lamar Jackson, and the linebackers on that team are just not fast enough to keep up with them. And that defense is just they play very, very inconsistently. Every once in a while they'll have a good performance, but I just think they're not going to be good enough to stop the Ravens. So I'm going to go with the Ravens win this game.
I'm going with Ravens as well. If it was Trace McSorley playing in this game, I'd probably honestly pick the Cowboys. But I think Ravens get the win, and I think Lamar finally goes off for over 100 rushing yards in this game. I think he finally has that, big games like we saw last year. He had a week off because of the COVID stuff, so I think he, takes a step back, and now he's playing a weaker defense, like you said, Luca. And I think he's able to have that big game of the reason why people drafted him, some people in the second round for fantasy this year. But interesting thing here, as we pick along, I noticed that I think for the majority, all four of us have picked losses for all the NFC East teams. I think the only one that really has a shot is Washington.
Yeah, I think so, and I think
If they all lose, the Giants stay in
'cause
first.
yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and Cameron Production said Giants are taking East. And listen, I think it's a race between New York and Washington. I think it's between those two. And the fact that Daniel Jones isn't playing makes me feel like Washington has the upper hand right now. Because if Jones was playing, I think he puts up a fight in Seattle. But we'll see what the
I
NFC
think so,
East
yeah.
entails. But if all four lose, it stays how it is right now.
That division to me is the most interesting division in football, and it always has been because that division. I mean, even when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl that season, they never really had a good team. Like, let's be honest, that year nobody was pinning the Eagles as a Super Bowl team. Like, that team has never really had a true contender. And yes, I know the Eagles made the Super Bowl that season, but again, nobody really looked at them as a contender. They were like what, 9-7 that season. They were the surprise team that year. Like, they haven't had a contender for years, and it's nuts how a division with a team that isn't anywhere close to 500 is going to win the division regardless. Like, I don't think whatever team wins, I don't even think they reach 500, and that's just
That's crazy.
It's nuts to
That's
me,
the most
but
NFC
it's
East thing ever, though.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
funny
that's
part is that will happen, and then they'll go win a first round in the playoffs, and then lose. That's
would be
just
the
NFC East
yeah.
for you.
That's how the NFC East rolls.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very interesting. But the one thing you can always notice about the NFC East every single year, I mean, as of recent, they've all been very, very bad teams, but they've always kept it very, very competitive. I mean, I don't know how many divisions right now you can say that all four teams could potentially win it. And it's kind of funny to see all these teams, I think at least 3 games under 500. I agree with you, Faz. I don't think any of them are going to even reach 500. Actually, I think whoever wins is probably like 7-9. But it's just gonna be funny.
Kind of like it's weird though. They're kind of like the anti NFC West, where the NFC West teams have kind of always been in contention one way or another. Like right now, the worst team in the NFC West is 5-6, and that's only because half their roster's hurt. So like that's kind of the team that's always had good competition in the sense of like I've seen years before all if not most all of the teams in that division have been over 500. But you have like the anti NFC West over in the East, where you're lucky if a team wins 6 games in that division, and that's just how they roll.
We'll see what the NFC East does. That's all I have for today. So, any final comments, guys?
Nothing really. I'll go through while we're live and we have a couple viewers. I'll give a super quick score update on some teams. I know we have the red zone up, but the Raiders are driving against the Jets right now. Jets are up 28-24. Dolphins are beating the Bengals 19-7. The Browns are dominating the Titans 41-21. Colts up over the Texans 26-20. Vikings beating the Jaguars 24-16. The Bears and Lions are in a close game at the 2-minute warning, 30-27 Bears. Saints up over the Falcons 21-16.
All right, Luca, you got anything?
I'm just looking forward to this Rams-Cardinals game later on today. I think it's going to be a good game to watch. But I just want to thank you guys for having me on here. Really much appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
No problem. We'll be back either Wednesday or Thursday this week, probably. We still got finals coming up, so Like I said, that schedule can be a little bit shaky for these next couple weeks. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. We give updates on when we're doing our shows and stuff. On the Instagram, it's g.o.a.t._talk. I think it's the same thing on Twitter. But Instagram is mainly where we'll give you updates on when we're doing our show and if shows aren't going to run on Wednesday and Thursday. So make sure to go give that a follow. Hope everyone has a safe rest of their weekend. And good luck on finals for all our students watching out there. We'll see you guys later this week.